You're watching Force 13's live streaming service. And now the latest on May 17th around the wide world of tropics. Live Tropical Weather Bulletin. And here it is right now with Cyclone Tauktae, which is still maneuvering towards the coast of Gujarat, eventually on the coast of India. It's passing fairly close to Mumbai and now a Category 4 with winds of approximately 140 miles per hour, according to our latest estimates. Looking at the Atlantic, it's 15 days until hurricane season and still nothing active, so that's a relief to see that it's an empty North Atlantic right there. Over in the Eastern Pacific, which will display any time now, there it is, 10% chance on that one area of interest that's just lingering, and we'll see whether that develops into anything. It is getting towards the time of year. Of course, we've already had that one storm. It's day 3 of hurricane season there. Moving straight to the Indian Ocean, Cyclone Tauktae, which is, as you can see, passing close to Mumbai right now and headed towards the north-northwest, intensifying still at this point, and we could be looking at a catastrophic landfall still in the next 18 hours. And a 50% chance, which is pretty much right over Diego Garcia right now in the southwest Indian Ocean, and that is headed towards the southwest. Jury's out on whether that will form or not. Well, here's the Atlantic satellite imagery right now. You can see how it's looking there in the main development region and out over the open waters. It's looking fairly quiet. Nothing really of note to talk of at all in terms of tropical developments, but you can see that further north there, that extratropical low, which is going to become probably a powerful extratropical storm. Gulf of Mexico looks like this right now. You can see that area of cloudiness and potential for severe weather right now in northern Texas into Oklahoma by the looks of things there. So that's going on right now. Looking at the Eastern Pacific, this is what it looks like here. Regrettably can't show you the further eastern part of the basin, but further west it looks like this. The intertropical convergence zone still going fairly strong, and one or two little pockets of rotation, but nothing obvious that's sticking out right now. Western Pacific, we'll load in a moment. This is a big file, so it takes a little while. There it is, the Western Pacific right now, the full disk from Himawari 8, showing the latest situation there. It's very messy down there in the tropical zone, pretty low latitude as well, but GFS has been saying for a long time that something will come of that. No other models are on board still at this point, but something to watch out for. The South Pacific, for any of you who may be interested there, not much going on. There's a little low there just west of Vanuatu, which looks somewhat interesting, but nothing's going to develop there. And the North Indian Ocean, rather zoomed out image here. You can just about make out Tauktae on the Indian coast. Of course, it's still early in the morning there. And further south, you can see the Invest over Diego Garcia. So that's the main part of the roundup. Let's just take a look at sea surface temperatures. Fairly warm, as we've been seeing recently along the coast of Mexico, the Eastern Pacific side, 30 degrees Celsius plus. The Atlantic warming up nicely, the Western Caribbean in particular, and the area around the Bahamas and the southern tip of Florida. Fairly warm waters. Extending around further towards the east there into the Indian Ocean, still very warm waters underneath the current cyclone, around 30 degrees Celsius. Will start to drop just a little bit. Bay of Bengal also very warm. We could be looking at developments there next week. And in the Western Pacific, the Philippine Sea fairly warm, 28 to 30 degrees, and the South China Sea even higher. Sea surface temperature anomalies look like this right now. As you can see, and quite damning it is, underneath Cyclone Tauktae right now, sea surface temperature anomalies are around 2 degrees above average. And that will drop off a little bit as it gets closer to land. The Bay of Bengal also warm, Western Pacific generally, more in the subtropics. The Eastern Pacific cooler generally, apart from the coast of Mexico and the Atlantic, is trending warm as well. So that's the main body of the Tropical Weather Bulletin, and the rest of this hour's coverage will mainly be on, of course, Cyclone Tauktae, which is a big feature, obviously, and it's a code red situation on our tropical cyclone operations status. So let's see if we can get the latest imagery on this, and hopefully all this is working. That's the latest JTWC track, and that is an out-of-date bar there at the bottom, because it is now 140 miles per hour, and I'm not sure why that didn't update. But there we go, we all have those moments, but we'll have that up to date in just a short moment. Let's take a look. We're supposed to be getting some satellite imagery of this as well. It's not loaded just yet. Oh, there it is. That's the latest satellite imagery of Tauktae right now. If you're new to our streams, my name is Nathan Foy. I generally run the streams, although we have several other people on board. Tonight we have Isaac and Xavier with me to discuss the very latest on the storm right now. Good evening to you both.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Now let's begin with Isaac. You're showing us, and hopefully this works. Again, we've come a little bit unprepared because that's just how things are. There we are right now with your imagery showing a very smooth loop of the water vapor.
Yes, this is a Meteosat 8 loop over the past little under 24 hours here of the cyclone's life as it's progressed, and you can see this is one image. You're seeing one image here every 15 minutes, and you can see how the storm's progressed with time and getting progressively better and better organized here. The ice so far still hasn't fully come out yet, but I believe that's going to be coming out pretty soon here, especially as the sun starts to rise over in this part of the world. So this is water vapor imagery you're looking at, and then here's infrared. It gives you a little bit better perspective of things, I feel, and you can see a dangerous cyclone brewing in the Arabian Sea right now, and I just really hope everybody is taking this seriously and they've prepared ahead of time from this, and they're ready, and they're going to be staying safe during this cyclone here, Nathan.
Is it possible to get a loop just of the latest maybe hour or so? Because the last few images there are particularly interesting. Blow-ups of convection. Yeah, there it goes. And the eye looks like it might be coming out again. And maybe even jogging back east just a little bit. It did a big jog west earlier. And right now, obviously storms wobble a lot. But it's a very nervy moment there for Mumbai right now.
Yeah, you can see it's coming dangerously close to Mumbai there. And this is a loop over the past little under 5 hours of the storm's life. And it's really trying to get its act together here. You can see a classic band setting up here, just beautiful looking cyclone here. All it needs to do is clear out its eye at this point, really. And even right now, parts of India, to my understanding, have been getting drenched with torrential rainfall here with this. So even that, not just the winds and not just the storm surge alone, just the rain is pretty dangerous here with this particular cyclone.
Absolutely. Just to get an indication right now of the storm's actual location, the best fix I've got on it right now is around 18.4 degrees north, 71.6 degrees east. Now put that in perspective regarding the land areas. Let me just get that for you. So the storm's center now is 96 miles southwest of Mumbai, which is approximately 150 kilometers, a little bit more than that. And from its potential landfall zone, which has been touted as somewhere between Viraval and Mahuva in Gujarat, the closest point to land there is 164 miles at this point. There's been a shift in one or two of the models earlier this evening. The HWRF most notably now wants the storm to make landfall this afternoon, Indian time. Any thoughts on that?
It's interesting. I know the models have been really having a difficult time with this, especially right around now in this time frame. They've had it really difficult to grasp on things, but interesting to see how the models appear to be wanting us to make landfall a lot sooner than forecast. If I'm not mistaken, it is forecast to make landfall during the day, if I'm not mistaken, near the evening, unless the models have changed yet again. Um, so just really uncertain forecast with this system, but of course we're going to get better and better guidance as it gets closer to making landfall here.
Xavier, are you noticing that on the model runs that you're showing?
Yeah, so I have the RAM multi-diagnostic comparison model, and that shows the general track of some of the models there. You see the GFS in red, and of course other models like the HWRF, the best track. And those give us an idea of where this could be making landfall. It looks like they have gotten a little better idea of where this will be making landfall as of right now. But unfortunately, it does look like this will be strengthening for the time being. Of course, as of right now, they kind of have the intensity a little lower than what we have it, about 100 to 105 knots right now. We currently have it at 120 knots, which is 140 miles an hour. So, of course, you might want to be taking these with a grain of salt because it's pretty much exceeded a lot of these models right now. There is, of course, the
Yep.
SHP, which does make this a Category 5, but I really wouldn't be taking that really well. I mean, while there is a very slim possibility, I mean, I really don't see that happening personally. With shear, however, we are
Just
looking at
before
a
you go on
decline.
to that, Xavier, I just want to point out, on these model runs, when you do have rapidly intensifying storms, the models are playing catch up. Regarding wind shear, JTWC said earlier that within hours wind shear would pick up. Now that what you're showing there is the opposite.
Yeah, it says right now that we're about 10 knots, but the picture here clearly depicts the opposite, with shear going down to 5 to 10 knots within the next 24 hours, really. However, after that, it will be making that sharp increase, but by that point, it will be making
It is,
landfall at
yeah.
that point. So it really won't matter at all. Sea surface temperatures, those are going to remain well. You may see that little drop off by the time it makes landfall, but we're still talking about an average of 28 to 29 degrees Celsius, which remains pretty favorable for tropical cyclone development. So just because
That's
this
right.
is dropping before landfall, which is where those lines stop, it does not mean that you can be taking your guard off of that. It's still very much conducive for that. The only thing that would really be stopping this, in my opinion, is the fact that it looks like relative humidity has now peaked and is now going to be decreasing. By the time for the next 24 hours as it prepares itself to make landfall. So we are looking to see about a 20% drop off in terms of humidity before it makes landfall.
We're
But yeah,
playing
those
it.
sea surface temperatures.
Go ahead with the sea surface temperatures.
Yeah, those sea surface temperatures, as mentioned, anywhere in this little line here, inside this line, are seeing sea surface temperatures of about 30 degrees Celsius. And of course, that has that same environment up to its landfall, really. So that's just really helping the system consolidate, continue to strengthen. And of course, we've had that eye that's been coming out, or that came out last night, and has
You're
been
hovering over the wrong
definitely.
place, Xavier.
Oh, whoopsie. Okay, I am very sorry about that. Anyways, you're still looking at pretty good sea surface temperatures
Although
either way.
that area could be something that we look at next week. We'll live
Yes,
and see.
but for the time being, we're looking at Tautay, but we're looking at 29, maybe some little isolated pockets of 28 there, and that's still very much good because you usually need about 26, 27 minimum to support cyclone genesis and
Yep.
strengthening, and of course, 28 and 29 is definitely above.
The whole basin's conducive there.
Yeah,
Now we
unfortunately.
had a wide shot of it earlier, but I suppose we might want to get a close up. Your view here of the Western Pacific as well. Just a little quick look there to
Yeah, the
show.
Western Pacific is looking pretty good there. I mean, we're looking at 27, 28 there in the Eastern, and then as you get closer to the Philippines, we're looking more at 28 to 29 as the average. Now, once you get into the South China Sea, that's where you start seeing more of the 30s pop up. And of course, as we are getting more into the season here for the Western Pacific, we
Hmm.
are likely to see seeing those 30-degree temperatures expand eastwards of the Philippines.
Yep, it absolutely will. And piping hot waters all along there. And just a quick glimpse at the Atlantic because it's certainly warming up there.
Yeah, main development region, of course, is looking a little bit cool right now, 24 to 26, but we're looking really into areas that we usually see development in May. That Gulf Stream is, of course, warming up, and really south of Cuba, we're looking at that area there, which already has 30 degrees Celsius waters. South the Florida Keys, as well as parts of the Bahamas, really have the warmest temperatures of the basin right now.
Yeah, fascinating. What will happen there later on in the year? In the Eastern Pacific, you can see they're fairly warm as well. Let's go back to Cyclone Tauktae right now, looking at the latest satellite imagery. Well, this is a progression during the last 12 hours or so, I think it would be now, maybe a little bit more even. Just to show you the trajectory of the storm, it made a very close pass to land. It would be yesterday evening now. And now you can see it jogs towards the west. Where does that happen? I'm not sure if this is actually up to date fully. Let's just see if we can just buzz that image. It might, it didn't look up to date. If not, we'll get some of the other imageries up. But it certainly showed significant strength earlier on. I can't tell whether that's current or not. So let's take a look back again at Isaac's screen just to get a depiction of what it's been doing. There it is now in relation to Mumbai, and it jogged westward. You saw that there whilst the eye was open, and then it shriveled up a little bit, and now it looks like it might be jogging a little bit east again.
Yeah, I think this might be doing the bipolar wobbles right now, where it kind of wobbles, east, wobbles west, as it starts to really form out its eye there.
I believe we're also joined by Army at this point. If you're ready.
Yes, I am.
Nice to have you on board as well. If you've got any questions or comments for us, by the way, we are all ears during this Tropical Weather Bulletin live. If you want to take a look at any particular part of the world, take a look at the latest runs, we'll be here to provide. But of course, the main feature tonight is, of course, Cyclone Tauktae, which is seriously impacting the coast of India. And Army CDPS, was that upped earlier on? Did I hear that?
Yes, with new potential wind field data heading towards landfall, it managed to push CDPS up to a stage 7, which means that catastrophic damage is possible.
Even likely. And have we heard any differences about the rainfall estimates? I'm guessing that's still around the same for the landfall zone.
Yeah, I have some of the models up for that on my screen.
Oh, you do? Well, okay, let's have a little look at this.
All right, so of course this is provided by Tropical Tidbits. They have the rainfall in millimeters for easy access, since that is what India typically uses. This is for the next 96 hours, because past then it looks like that the rainfall threat for that area should be over. But we're looking at a decent amount of rain there, at least 300 to 350 millimeters of rainfall, and then as you get inland, you're still seeing about at least 50, even areas of 100 to 125. So this is definitely going to be an inland threat as well. Even if you're pretty far inland, you're still going to be seeing some significant rainfall impacts, because 100 to 150 millimeters, that is still nothing to joke about at all. And unfortunately, that could be something that we face flooding issues with. And I think that's really the biggest takeaway from the storm. While we also have the wind to worry about, flooding is the costliest in terms of lives with tropical cyclones. So I really think that needs to be pushed, that you need to be having some kind of plan if flooding does take place. Move to higher ground. Make sure that if you are in a path of the storm, you're in a shelter that it has a sturdy roof. So that way, in the event you do have to go to higher ground, you will still not have to worry about the threat of roofs being blown off. Of course, you're still going to have to worry about minor threat, but it's really important that you take action now. In terms of Icon, they are a little bit conservative in terms of their rainfall, pushing a lot of it off the coast there. But regardless, they still have little areas that could be seeing 300 and 350 millimeters of rainfall, and of course, that is also right near that landfall zone there. Looking at the Canadian model, they last updated at 18Z there. They're also a little bit less, but that's still really nothing to take lightly. They also have the rainfall threat going far more inland into parts of north and central India there, where there's a large, widespread
Yes.
area that could be seeing 100, 150 millimeters of rainfall there. And of course, they don't do rainfall there. Never mind. Yeah, they don't do rainfall, but yeah, that just an overall idea of the rainfall. But it looks like towards where the immediate landfall zone is, which looks to be in the central parts of here, we're looking at about 300, 350 millimeters of rain in the cards. And as you get more inland, you're expected to still see a significant amount of rainfall, up to 100 to 150 millimeters of rain.
Yep, let's just bring up this one as well for me. This is the GFS model depicting the storm at first, but I just want to point out one other thing that could be a big factor, and that's storm surge. We're mainly looking at Gujarat, the storm, anywhere that the storm east of the storm's landfall zone, right? So that we're looking at somewhere between Viraval and Mahuva for the landfall area. Anywhere east of there and right up the Gulf of I've lost its name again now, the Gulf of Kambat, the surge will probably reach or exceed 2 meters all the way along the coast and up that gulf. So that is an indication of what kind of storm surge we could be seeing, along with that heavy rainfall, which could cause significant flooding issues. And this basin is known for those problems in particular. We're also joined by Mike right now. Good evening to you as well. We had some questions that came in. Let's see if we've got them right now whilst we look at... Christian asks us a silly question, our very own member, asking us how is Antarctica at this time of year. It's very cold. Alex says, just joining, what is the Atlantic looking like in terms of potential cyclone genesis in the next week or so? At the very end of the 7-day period, there could be a chance of subtropical activity, but we're not going to say any more than that tonight. Could an eyewall replacement cycle take place? Microwave imagery is possibly indicating another eyewall forming. Anyone on that?
I haven't really looked into that. I know what I do remember is that there has been land interaction that has been been helping make eyewall replacement cycles difficult. The intensity has, at least the intensification rate has slowed down. We have not seen intensification since the 18Z fix in our analysis. It's been the same for the last few hours now. So we've been holding on at 40 miles an hour with pressure of 935. I personally don't know, as I haven't looked at microwave too much today, but
yeah, no, me neither, as a matter of fact, since we did the earlier live stream, at any rate. The more questions, what are the chances of it becoming a Category 5? That is a very popular question. And I suppose that's the first thing that comes to many people's minds. The chances are decreasing, it would appear. My impression, I'm not sure if you guys are on board with it, is that it will probably not move much more in intensity up until landfall. I don't see it shifting very much. Oh, that's me. When do we think it will make landfall, though? Because we're talking... So, we mentioned earlier the HWRF model run saying now that it wants the storm to make landfall about 4 or 5 p.m. Indian time. And the GFS has been sticking with what the consensus used to say, which is about 10, 11 p.m. I think it was, or a little bit earlier, 9, 10, 11 p.m. Indian time. Is it trending sooner now?
Well, it's probably going to be within the next 24 hours at this rate, given the fact
Oh, definitely.
It's definitely going to be within the next 24 hours because we're looking at a landfall within south central Gujarat there. So we're looking at pretty much the earliest landfall we could have been seeing from this, given the fact we were looking at a range of possibilities between eastern Gujarat and parts of southeastern Pakistan. So that was one of the scenarios. And of course, the way it's taken right now, that would take it into land at the earliest possible time that we could have been seeing as it dips down the southernmost of this. I do have the distances from land shown up right now.
All right.
So the line that goes south there, that is the position of how much it has moved in the last 3 hours, about 39 kilometers. It is making pretty much about to be making its closest pass to Mumbai, 123 kilometers away, pretty close. 153 kilometers away from Vasai-Virar, 230 from Silvassa, about 318 from Surat. All of these are pretty much in Gujarat there. 362 away from Bhavnagar. 255 away from Diu. I think that Diu is going to be one of the possible landfall locations we see from this, given recent trends. And 415 kilometers away from Porbandar.
Now, on your model runs earlier on that spread, I did calculate that, and it's something like 9 miles either side of Diu.
Yeah, so looking at some of the, if there is or anything, so it looks like we could be looking really. Yeah, there's really not many cities, so it looks like it's going to be a landfall anywhere between Mangrol and Mahuba.
Interesting. So we're starting to narrow it down. At least we think we are. The storm may have other ideas. We'll have to see, but it certainly looks that way. What were we going to do next? Oh yes, I did my own little calculation on the storm's movement, and in the last 6 hours, it suggests that it's travelled about 53 miles and actually northwest. If it was to make a beeline for the closest point of land, that's 160 miles away. So it could make that up at this current speed in about 19 or 20 hours. So that would favour very much the GFS model solution. The HWRF would rely on the storm moving from now until landfall. Well, it would be an average speed of, trying to figure that out very quickly, which about 13 to 14 miles per hour. I suppose it's very possible that it could do that. But it would have to speed up a little bit if it was going to make landfall earlier, like the HWRF model is suggesting. I think there may have been more questions. Question about ADT, and it's apparently saying 155, and wanting your thoughts on that.
I'm going to make sure that's the actual case real quick.
Me too.
I'm going. Let's see here. I'm on it now. Let's see. ADT has this at 135 knots. That is 155 miles an hour. Yep. I personally, given the eye appearance for one, and given other things like infrared satellite, I personally don't think that this is 155. I think that is an overestimate, to be honest. They also have the pressure down at 926. SATCON has it at 145 miles an hour.
That's Sims ADT, isn't it? NOAA ADT has 132 knots and a pressure of 924.
Yeah, I have noticed that with stronger storms, they do have a tendency to overestimate at times. They did this with Surrogate after it reached its Category 5 intensity. So, I really wouldn't put many of my analysis opinions based off of those analysis, based on what happened with Sergey especially.
Let's see if there's any more questions just now. Microwave showing a potential secondary eye wall to the northwest of the main one and wanting thoughts. We need to get some microwave imagery up here.
Mike did post in live output.
Oh, we'll get that then in just a very short moment. Ah, here we are. Yes, so I'm starting to see what you mean there. What do we make of that image then? I trust you can all see that. Well, the eye's very clear, and what appears to be certainly a moat by the looks of things, especially on the eastern side. Is that a product of the gap that we saw earlier in the day, in the last stream?
Well, I think the gap in the last stream was actually caused by dry air.
But has it led to this, maybe?
Yeah, the dry air could have possibly led to a secondary eye wall formation. But yeah, it seems like our banding is consolidating into an outer eye wall. But with this, I don't really see it going too fast because this storm is currently moving into a more dry environment. So it wouldn't be in optimal conditions to actually quickly complete the eye wall replacement cycle before impacting land, probably.
And let me just bring to you, just because we've got a lot of people in Mumbai. I'm not sure if you can see this very well, but on the right hand side of this image is the land area, and you can see Mumbai there, just on the very edge of tropical storm conditions at the start of this model. But I just want to show you the projection on what to expect as time goes on. So we move it forward just a little bit. So this is around about now, actually. Tropical storm force winds starting to occur, it would seem. And as you can see, they spread out a little bit more later on in the day. This is in 3 hours' time. And moving over now, this is late this evening. No, it's early evening. And tropical storm force winds still occurring. And if you just scroll back a little bit there, you can see the higher tropical storm force winds possibly affecting the Mumbai area. Let's just get some numbers there. That's 60-mile-per-hour winds, so nearly 100 kilometers per hour sustained along the coast at Mumbai, and that would be at around just early afternoon is probably going to be the windiest time for the Mumbai region. When the storm makes landfall, again on the GFS model, which is different from the HWRF, which is saying much sooner, GFS is saying it's going to be something like 5 p.m. UTC, which is around, just over 16 hours from now. So that's quite a way. And it would have winds of at least 100 miles per hour. GFS tends to underrate it, rather, so it may be stronger than that. Probably will be the way it's going. Let's see if we have any other questions just now. Do we know when, where, and what will its peak be? If we all knew that, then we wouldn't need to do any coverage on it, I guess. But you know, it's an unpredictable situation. The peak may have already occurred, or it may be still yet to come. All that we know is that the storm is running out of time to actually make good on that peak. But on the track front, we're pretty sure of where that's going. We're expecting it within 9 miles east or west of Diu, on the pretty much the southern tip of that peninsula in Gujarat.
We had another question about when we think it's going to start weakening. In my opinion, I think that the absolute latest it will probably be peaking in is likely going to be 12 hours. By that point, we're going to be seeing, of course, dry air coming in more, and that will be helping intrude with the storm, as well as the increased amount of land interaction. So I think this will be slightly weaker than its peak at landfall. However, regardless whether it weakens or not, this is definitely not something you should be taking lightly. It does not matter whether it's going to weaken. It's still going to remain a very significant cyclone when it does make landfall. Definitely a Category 3 at the bare minimum, in my opinion, is what we're going to be seeing from a landfall. So really need to be taking precaution for this if you are in Gujarat, especially those that are in southern parts of that, because this will be coming in within the next 24 hours, within the next 18 to 22, really, in my opinion. And so this really needs to be something that is not taken down lightly, especially with the impacts it's already caused so far without the full force.
Isaac, you've got it really zoomed in on the storm now. And you can see how it's affecting the Mumbai region. We were talking in the last stream about how poor the radar was there, but it's pretty close. Is there still nothing on it? I just wonder whether there's more to see on that at this point, or whether it's just not close enough. I don't think Isaac is with us just now, but there's his imagery nonetheless, and swiveled a little bit towards the northeast. I did see someone ask about visible imagery earlier on. Well, the sun is just rising there right now, so we'll have first visibles very shortly. At the moment, we don't just yet.
Yeah, about the radar, I don't think it's not getting anything really.
It can't be a very good radar then.
Yeah, I'll post a picture.
Yeah, no, not very good. Just so everyone can see. That is the latest radar there. Doesn't tell you very much at all. So a question that we've just received, and I guess that it comes to the crux of where we're at right now, is the storm actually strengthening now?
I really think it's kind of hard to say at the moment, given the fact we did see a pause in the rate of intensification based on one of our analyst opinions. So it's really hard to say. I really don't know. I think it's really focusing on getting itself together right now. Its eye has not really given its best performance in terms of clearing out, in my opinion. So it's definitely probably not going to become a Category 5, thankfully.
Looks
And that'll
like
be the last thing that we need based on what has been going on. I'm looking at some of the IR imagery. It looks like it's trying to get itself together. I mean, it's got some pretty good cloud tops of minus 80 there in its southern quadrant. But it's definitely been struggling to get it into its northern quadrant, which probably has been helping in terms of slowing it weakening. It's definitely had some really impressive convective bursts, especially towards that southern area where its outflow has been being pushed into this thing. And that's what's been keeping this storm as strong as it has been. Outflow is really good for a storm. So.
I didn't realize you were showing imagery there as well. There it is on your screen. We're just looking at another satellite loop, so it is, I think, still fairly effective, your discussion on that just there, but that's another look at it. Looks impressive on that particular imagery.
And I can see some isolated areas of minus 90 Celsius cloud tops, which those are really an idea of how powerful this cyclone is, because especially considering the fact that not all cyclones have that intense cloud tops. That's usually very indicative of a very strong cyclone. So,
Indian Ocean, though,
yeah.
tends to have the higher cloud tops along with the Pacific.
It's usually once a year in the Indian Ocean we see something like this. Just typically see about 1 or 2 majors per year here in the Indian Ocean, whether it's in the Bay of Bengal or the Arabian Sea. We saw this last year with Umpun and Gati, and now we're seeing it this year with Tauktae. So North Indian Ocean tends to surprise us with something each year, and unfortunately, it's in a really bad way this year with Tauktae. So I'm really hoping those in Gujarat, especially, have gotten themselves prepared, as it looks like the clouds have begun to arrive. We hope that they have been heeding warnings, evacuating if necessary, getting resources they have. There is very little time. If you haven't yet, make sure you have enough food that will last you at least 2 weeks. At least 1 can of food per day for each meal, hopefully, for all people in your family. And hopefully you're in a shelter that is sturdy enough if you are going to be staying inside the storm. Otherwise, you should be in a shelter that you can hunker down in, one that is boarded up, one that can be able to sustain the winds of a Category 3 if you're right near the coastline.
Yeah, just my inkling right now is that maybe it's just been knocked down a peg or two, just a tiny bit, but it still looks very good on the rotation on the satellite. Looks can be deceiving. This could still strengthen to near Category 5 status. I don't think many people think it will get all the way there now. Curiously, JTWC had weakening here on in, didn't they?
From what I have seen, it looks like the JTWC will be going with 130 miles an hour in their next outlook that comes out, I believe,
Oh,
in an hour or two. So,
well, it took them long enough. Where was I going to go to next? Oh yes, if you've got any, obviously this is our tropical weather bulletin hour, and it's our first live tropical weather bulletin of the year, and it's only the third actual tropical weather bulletin of the year. So we're not quite in the swing of things yet. We usually expect to do one live much later in the season. But if you've got any comments or questions for us whilst we're here for another 18 minutes, send them in. And if you've got any observations on the ground right now or any information you'd like to relay, then this is a good place to do so, and we'll relay that information. Just tag us, start your message with Force 13 all in text on our YouTube chat. So, as expected, this storm has intensified substantially in the last 24 hours. Its intensification phase may be stalling out just at this point, but its earlier intensification was quite staggering. I think the biggest surprise was just how close it was, wasn't it? To the coast.
I just got some info based on what ATCF has updated for its newest fix. It looks like they have it basically as right where we have it, 140 miles an hour and a pressure of 935 millibars. Located at 18.5 degrees north, 71.5 degrees east.
Going off of what you said earlier, Nathan, that is, I'm just taking a look back at satellite imagery here, now that I'm back, and that is just dangerously close to Mumbai right there. When you look at the eye compared to where Mumbai is at, that is very close, too close for comfort, I think, for them right now.
Yeah, I did some distance calculations earlier, and at this point, it's pretty much about 115 to 120 kilometers away from Mumbai at this point. So we'll be making its closest pass to Mumbai over the next few hours.
You know what this is starting to remind me of?
I think I know what it is. Go ahead.
India's Matthew.
I figured. Yeah, Matthew was tormenting the Florida coastline for the longest time, it seemed, and then it finally made landfall as, I think, a Category 1 in the Carolinas. And this is, of course, in the in Arabian Sea right now, and as you see with Mumbai, right there, just too close for comfort with that eye-to-eye being right around here, as you see in this satellite loop of the storm, this up-close satellite loop of the storm. Keep in mind, one frame in this loop is equivalent to one frame is equal to one frame is taken every 15 minutes here from the satellite Meteosat 8 here. And gosh, it's just too close for comfort for them. I really hope everybody's hunkering down right now and not out and about sightseeing or trying to cause havoc anywhere.
And
So,
yeah, Nathan, with that statement you said there about being the India equivalent of Matthew there, I mean, I can really agree with that, especially with impacts have been felt in India for days. I mean, from Kerala, which is the southwestern part of India there, and that's been pretty much rising up in terms of flooding. Of course, there's been over 1,300 to 1,500 millimeters of rainfall in spots there. And of course, impacts are continuing, and impacts are going to be felt over the next several days. So, Tauktae's impacts are going to be felt for a really long time when we look at the overall picture of this extremely dangerous cyclone.
yes, I was going to say something and you've completely thrown me off. I've completely forgotten what it was
I'm
at this point. No, it's not your problem, of course. Trying to figure out what it was, but never mind. There it is right now. Yes, the ATCF information, of course, the automated feed from the US Navy. Not official in the sense of final. So that 140 miles per hour indication they've got might not be the actual number they go with, the JTWC. But usually they do. Some occasions where they don't, and I think they will here. More questions. What impacts from Tauktae is Mumbai currently experiencing? And how much rainfall and storm surge could Mumbai expect? So again, I'll show you the chart, the model run. This is what the storm was at landfall, is projected to be at landfall. Let's just show you where Mumbai is right now. That's around here, getting 40 mile per hour winds, just about tropical storm status at the present moment. Or this is actually a couple of hours ago. The main part of the storm looks like it's going to come past at about late morning, early afternoon in particular. We might get some stronger winds in the tail end there, approaching 60 miles per hour or 100 kilometers per hour, with the main core of the storm just pretty close to the coast but not quite there. Let's take a look at rainfall then. Just bear with me on this as we try to get the rainfall up on the same frame. And I've got to find the actual rainfall indication first. This is over the next 7 days, which will give us a decent indication. So this is further rain over what we've already received so far. And it's probably better to zoom out and show you the whole area. So rainfall that you can expect in various parts of India there from this point forward. So you could still see 4 inches in some places along the western coast. That's 100 millimeters. In the area southeast of Mumbai, you could still be looking at another 7 millimeters, 7 inches, which is around 175 millimeters. As for the landfall zone, looks like expectations have gone down a little bit actually. It says earlier it said 14 inches. Now it's 11, which is roughly 275 millimeters. But again, what you can see is that trail of rain moving inland with substantial amounts extending all the way up towards the Himalayas really, with 3 to 4 inches of rain possible even in the areas surrounding Delhi. So that's something to look out for. And of course the main part of the rainfall, the highest amounts, will be over water. And it looks at first that it will be on the western side of the storm and then transfers to the eastern side when it makes landfall. Now, don't forget, it's not just the rainfall. You could be looking along all this area here that I'm just tracing. All that area could receive a 2-meter storm surge or higher. And this area in particular, the northern side of that Gulf, which again, not being familiar, I've already forgotten the name of it. I'm sure you know locally. That area could receive a 3-meter storm surge, according to the Indian Meteorological Department's latest forecast.
So the newest newest bulletin from the Indian Meteorological Department came out. They still have it much lower than pretty much everything still. Only keeping it about 150 to 155 kilometers currently. On their upper end, they only have it at about 105, 110 miles an hour. So they unfortunately have been not sticking with other agencies, and I fear that is going to be part of the reason that not as many preparations could be made. But as of right now, they have those rainfall warnings for, of course, Kerala, South Konkan, and Goa, North Konkan, Gujarat, and Rajasthan. You got those wind warnings as well. Now, here some damage expectations. They have some of these expectations for Porbandar, Amreli, Jungar, Gursamal, Botad, and Babangar and coastal areas of Ahmedabad. You're looking at total
Ahmedabad.
destruction of thatch. Yeah. I'm sorry if I butcher these pronunciations. Total destruction of thatched houses and extensive damage to Kutcha houses. Some damage to Pucca houses. We're looking at a potential threat from flying objects from those winds. I'm looking at bending and uprooted of power and communication poles, so pretty much expect power outages from this. Major damage to Kutcha and Pucca roads, flooding of escape routes, minor disruption of railways, overhead power lines, and signaling systems. Widespread damage to salt pans and standing crops, blowing down of bushy trees. Small boats, country crafts may get detached from a mooring. So for those who are sailors, you might want to make sure those are safely secured. And visibility will be severely affected due to the rain combined with those winds. Looking at areas of Devbhoomi, Dwarka, Kutch, Jamnagar, Rajkot, and Morbi, as well as Valsad, Surat, Vadodara, Bharuch, Navsari, Anand, Kheda, and interior parts of Ahmedabad, districts of Gujarat. We're looking at major damage to thatched houses and huts. Rooftops may blow off. Unattached metal sheets may fly. Minor damage is expected to power communication lines, so we're still looking at scattered power outages possible. Major damage to Kutcha and some damage to Pucca roads, flooding of escape routes. We're looking at breaking of tree branches, uprooting of large avenue trees, moderate damage to banana and papaya trees, and large dead limbs blown from trees. Now, I should say that I think the biggest cause of the power outages will probably be those trees that knock into those power lines.
Yep.
Major damage to coastal crops and damage to embankments and salt pans. And the action that they are suggesting are the following: should we be listening if you are on the path? Mobilize evacuation in vulnerable areas. So basically, if you're in one of those very low-lying areas or not so developed areas, you should be seeking evacuation if you can. Total suspension of fishing operations. Judicious regulation of rail and road traffic. People in the affected areas need to remain indoors. You do not want to be outside during this, especially the closer you are to the path of this storm. Not only do you have to worry about the rainfall, the flooding, you also got to worry about the winds, and you really do not want to be outside at all during any of this. And you want to remember that movement in motor boats and small ships will be severely unsafe.
Oh yeah, I was just slightly amused earlier because a commenter said that you were butchering a lot of those names, but never mind. We do.
Yeah, I'm really sorry.
We do the whole world. There's so, I mean, the problem with doing that is that the whole world over we're butchering names. But never mind. You've got some maps there as well.
Yeah, this is some of the Indian meteorological forecast from this at this point. This is where they have that in terms of the
I like how they
clouds.
had to put a circle around it just to show
Yes,
you where exactly it is.
Yeah, that's pretty much where the center of the storm
you
is, and
missed
inside
it.
that circle, you can still see the eye there. So it's pretty
Yeah.
much right there at this point where my arrow is. And of course, you're going to be seeing that motion, of course, take that curvature northwards. Here's the cone that they are releasing. As of right now, they still have it as an 85 knot system that is 100 miles an hour. I really think that is very, very underestimating the actual intensity of this system, unfortunately. And of course, they are kind of in line with that landfall in south central Gujarat there at that southern bend there.
Scroll down more, you'll have that storm surge graphic, which I'm interested in seeing actually. if you want to go straight
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah, so this is some of the surge we could be seeing. Surprising, looks like all the surge is going to be in that little gulf there,
Yep.
and they could be seeing up to 2 to 3 meters of surge there. So those in Bhavnagar, I think. Hold on, let me get an idea of some cities that are in this. So we're looking at
No,
areas
you're
here.
basically anywhere east of the landfall zone.
Yeah, so you're looking at Mahuva, Bhavnagar, Surat, especially. You guys should be monitoring this because that looks like surge could be a very significant threat for you guys. So.
Yep. So is that all of that right now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Any other messages from our team right now, because we're about to finish up and do on this day and finish up our segment here.
I'll just say to for anybody who's watching in the path of this, to stay safe and make sure you've hunkered down already and you're ready and prepared well ahead of time from this. Your time is very much so running out at this point. You can see, again, here's a close-up of the satellite imagery of the storm making a dangerously close pass by Mumbai there, and really intense storm regardless of whether the eye tries to fully pop out or not within the next few hours. Still a major storm surge threat, major wind threat, and major flooding threat. So please take this cyclone seriously for those in its path. And if you know anybody that's in the path of this cyclone, please message them and make them aware of this so they don't get caught out in this and are completely unprepared for this ahead of time. So that's about all I have to say. And just in general, hoping everybody stays safe and we'll get through this all right.
All right, I think we've heard everything we need to hear from our team, so thanks very much for taking part with us tonight. All of you were here, some of you, I think it's just Army who isn't currently here but was here earlier on. Thank you. We will be moving back to the automated stream shortly in a few minutes. You can find that if you're on the live link already, youtube.com/force13/live. If you happen to be watching this there, it should transition seamlessly to the automated stream when we're done. Or you can find our channel on YouTube and you'll see the latest, and that will show you the latest satellite imagery, estimates and position updates. But now we're about to finish up here with the Tropical Weather Bulletin. Normally on a Tropical Weather Bulletin in normal circumstances we do the On This Day sequence. So here we are with On This Day somewhere. I thought I had it just then. How disappointing. I thought we were going to see it right before our eyes. Oh, we can hear it. I don't know what's going on at this point. Where's it gone? I'll tell you what, we'll try and get that up there. This is how we're supposed to end the show. But it's obviously not gone very well for us here. So let's try this. Yes, May the 17th, 1951. On this day, Hurricane Abel was a Category 1 off the Bahamas. A very interesting early season storm that occurred in the Atlantic, looped around that area and then shot off towards the northeast. Very rare. So, looking out over the Atlantic Ocean, the next storm name, and the first storm name on the list is Anna, followed by Bill. In the Eastern Pacific, the next name is Blanca. We've already had Andres. In the Central Pacific, we're still waiting for Hone. Towards the Western Pacific, Choi Wan is next up, followed by Koguma. And in the North Indian Ocean, of course, we've got Tauktae right now. Yas will be next eventually, but let's hope that doesn't come anytime soon. I think we've got enough to deal with right now. In the Australian region, the next name is Paddy, followed by Ruby. The Southwest Indian Ocean sees Kanga next up on the list. And in the South Pacific, the next name is Cody. That's it from us here. We'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.